I noticed this year that people are getting married. I find that to be a blessing. It's very shocking. One of the marriages that are having everyone talk is Travis Hunter. I'm not sure why he didn't get a prenup, but that's his choice. I feel like people need to stop judging him and laughing at the situation because unfortunately, a lot of people like myself tend to trust people, and as time go on you see you cannot, and sometimes people have to learn. Laughing at them, I don't know what people get from that. I don't like doing that. That's why when people come back and give me information about people who I stopped talking to or were known to be untrustworthy, well, that's when they give me news about their downfall, I don't laugh or rejoice, because at the end of the day, that's a pain that I still have to deal with. Granted, yes, I feel like vengeance is the Lord's, but unfortunately, when you're hurt, that pain takes a while to get away, especially if the justice took a while to serve a dish. I will say that people should still get married and not have children first. I do like that people are taking the steps, seeing that marriage is important. I would like to say that people do need to set aside a prenup agreement. And again, if you have money to mortgage a house, lease a car, you can pay for a prenup. It's not that expensive. It is costly, but like I said, if you can lease items, you could get a prenup. I'm not sure why people think that they should turn a blind eye to a prenup, because I feel like if I work hard for something, it's mine, especially if I obtained it before I was married. Now, I will say in the state of California, unfortunately, with or without a prenup, the assets are split 50. That's the only state that I know where even if you have a prenup agreement, it's split 50. So your spouse is entitled to your assets. But in any other state, you can protect your assets because again, and I get, when you're married, you share a house, bank accounts, children, because people are under the assumption that you will be together forever. As we can see, that doesn't go well. Keep in mind that I've been around married men that flirt and that had mistresses. And what people fail to realize that although yes, the woman initiates the divorce, the man already sealed the deal with the divorce. Because let me tell you something, although they're not going to court and filing for a divorce, once you cheat and you're abusive, you gave the spouse the permission to go ahead and go file for divorce. So the men are just as to blame. Of course, a man is not going to initiate a divorce because he knows he has a lot to lose. Not only that, he feels, and these are the men that are cheating, feel like they could have their cake and eat it too. Because usually if you're looking for a side piece, unfortunately your marriage is lacking something, or because human nature, some of us tend to be greedy and we watch too many porn, or we watch models on social media or on the internet, so lust feeds, and then we expect our spouse to feed our desires. That's not how that goes. I don't understand why people think, oh, because you're married, you should be trying different things, and when it comes to your intimate life, no. If your wife doesn't want to do a threesome, or husband, you should not force them. Certain positions, sexual fantasies, you can't force your spouse to do that, because my thing is, if I married you and 10 years down the line you decide to change and you want to spice things up. We have to be in agreement. If I'm not in agreement, that doesn't give you the permission to cheat. So I feel like marriage is something that should not be taken lightly. But again, if I could do it over again, which I cannot, I would have gotten married instead of having children, because I can easily disown my spouse. I can get a divorce. I can't divorce my children. So in that aspect, anybody that's getting married, I would hold off from having children, because unfortunately children do make and break the relationship. Because a lot of people like to say, oh, well, single moms, they don't have time to date or make time for the significant other in their life. Of course not. And when you get married, you are going to be put aside, especially when that newborn comes along, because guess who your spouse has to attend to? The baby. Now, yes, the husband is supposed to be first, but when you're dealing with a children, that's not always going to be the case. Now, as a married couple, you are supposed to carve out time for each other. Does that happen? No. That's why men and some women go out and seek other relationships, because someone feels like they did not get the attention they deserve. That's why I don't understand why people, they bash single mothers, because if you're in a relationship and you have a child with somebody, your needs or that connection or that attention will diminish. But it's not permanent though. It's just temporarily until that baby is older. I just feel like we need to worry about our own relationships and not worry about the downfall of somebody else's marriage, because at the end of the day, Travis Hunter is not sharing his wealth with us, and that's just him being blinded to the red flags. There's just something he has to deal with. I'm pretty sure he's not going to, if the marriage does end in divorce, I'm pretty sure he's not going to go online and want to receive sympathy from people. I would hope not, because my thing is, if somebody gave me a heads up with good intentions, because sometimes people come to you with advice and it's not good intentions. That's another thing. Everybody likes to be like, oh, well, they need to listen, take advice. Not everybody's advice is with good intent. But I'm hoping that the marriage lasts. But if not, I'm pretty sure he's not going to get on social media, because he's not going to want to hear, I told you so. Another thing I wanted to address, I noticed people were saying, oh, because he wasn't raised in the household with a father, unfortunately, he doesn't know how to steer clear from certain females. That's not always the case, because again, if it is true, and I just came to the realization, a lot of times the wife runs the household. So sometimes a lot of men don't have a say so. And the reason why I know this, because my daughter's father told me that the women in his household run. They have the final say, not the men. And I'm looking at him like, huh? Because my stepfather had the last say. Now, of course, he would talk with my mother, but what he said goes. So when I found that out and hit that my daughter's father's household is not the first one, I've heard a lot of times the female runs the household. So even if that man is present in the home, a lot of times the female is leading. Now, should she be leading? No, but that's the agreement they had. So a lot of times when people are saying, oh, raised in a single mother home, sometimes the father could be in the home, and unfortunately he does not have a backbone, because that's what that is. You don't have no backbone, because there's no reason why a female should be running a household. Assist, yes, we discuss and we be able to come to an agreement that we both can execute, but there's no a female should be running a house. No. And then men wonder why some females take them as a joke, because my thing is, if you're a male, you should have that confidence to be able to lead and be like, no, I don't agree with this. I don't agree that we should be spending money on this. I don't agree that the children should be getting away with X, Y, and Z. You have to be able to put your foot down, not just the woman. But I noticed that in this day and age, the men are less masculine. I don't know why. I have an idea, but after seeing other people's households, I noticed that the reason why is because the females have the last say, and it shouldn't be so. You're coming from a female. I would love to be blessed with a man that can lead. I would, because that takes so much of a burden off of me. And I'm a single mom, by the way. So I would not want to lead a household. I wouldn't. But my thing is, if you're going to lead me into destruction or put us in a predicament where we lose our place, we're struggling, or it's going to be dangerous, of course I'm going to have to take over and lead. Because, again, not every man can lead, and sometimes they would lead you into destruction. And I don't want that. So if somebody looking on the outside is like, oh, well, she's overbearing, she's masculine. No, I see that, unfortunately, that person or my partner could lead me to destruction. So no, and that's probably one of the reasons why I've been single for quite some time, because there's just certain things I'm not putting up with. I can't be led to destruction. I can't. I'm not going to say that I have a man. No. So for anyone that wants to get married, I would seriously go to marriage counseling, or even if you can't afford therapy, read some books on how to be a spouse. There are books out there because, again, marriage is not a joke. It's not a paper. That's a long-term commitment. It ends in short term, but technically it's a long-term commitment. And whether you like it or not, even if you divorce, keep in mind that you're still linked. Because let me tell you something. Unless your spouse dies, even if you get a divorce or no longer married, you all are still linked. Because if we want to be technical, and the Bible says you're not allowed to remarry until your spouse dies. So I'm going to need for people to be mindful when they're just marrying people for looks, or just for stability, because it's more than that. It's not about you. But yes, I am happy to see that people are taking the steps to be married. I just wish that marriage counseling and more people would be more educated before jumping over the broom. But thank you for listening.